Alright, we are back, and as you can see, nothing is loaded. There's no background or anything. I'm gonna try and enter Twilight Highlands. Alright, well, it's working for now. Try to get this world quest done.
The Twilight's blade have returned to mine the Elementium depths. Do not let them.
If you played in Cataclysm, or if you've played through this area, this mine sucks. I'm not even gonna go to the lower levels unless the world quest forces me to do it. It's so bad. It's like the world's longest walk. The Spires of Iraq don't have anything on this mine. Oh no, out that route, we certainly don't have to go deep. Are there groups? Hold on, I'm curious. What do we got for dungeons? Nothing. Raid? It shows the war within. So I think this is just PTR for the pre-patch event. I might try to join some PvP games to play around there. See if fist weaving is better. Although I feel like without interrupt, fist weaving will be remarkably worse in PvP. Like fist weavers already are at a humongous disadvantage for trying to do anything because they just get shut down and kited. Either one or the other. And then the changes to rushing wind kick, I think, made it into a frontal cone, whereas before I think it just made your rising sun kick range 25-foot cone. Huh. Alright, I can almost leave. So we'll just fight that.
Perhaps we can repurpose these materials. I'll pass them along.
If you ever do that quest, good luck. I hope that you might even just set your Hearthstone before you go in there to the nearest town and just hearth out of there. It's pretty bad. If you ever do the Cataclysm quest. On launch day, you might have to go down there because the stuff upstairs will probably be so overkilled. Alright. The rewards are pretty underwhelming so far. And all it did was give me currency, 4 of Hunt, combine Ace to get a set. I don't know if that's for the new expansion or the old one. The Darkmoon Dex.
New doorways have opened to us.
So for the pre-patch event, you can just get a recolored mount. Probably recolored everything else. The tabard's pretty cool. I guess that's cool. Twilight Mogs. Those are kind of neat. And, yeah.
The void offers
Well,
endless possibilities.
a little underwhelming. And you can't go to Dornegal for some reason. Campaign complete, world quest and events unlocked, adventure mode unlocked, earthen race available. I'm good on that. I'm more concerned with... So I had a theory, as a side note, I had a theory, people were pointing out that the Alliance had all this stuff in their corner, but I had a theory that the Silvermoon portal from Dornogal would be right here. And while I don't know for sure, I strongly think that they will or should do that. I'm thinking right now that there is class set, Trinketer Extraordinaire. What do you have? Echo of Lura. What is this stuff from? Oh, it must be from Midnight. Huh. So where is there like a Midnight introduction quest? Pursuit continues. Haven, can you hear me? Bring a message from Master Umbric. Void Elf Demon Hunter. Eh. My friend Cool says he's gonna be happy about that, but I'm not too interested in checking it out. I'm just gonna look up Midnight PTR. Wow. January 20th. Not 20th. Playtests upcoming content like new Devour Demon Hunter spec, UI updates, stat squish, and the Twilight Ascension pre-patch event, which began January 20th, 2026, featuring class changes and early access to housing before the main expansion launches in 2026. So the pre-patch on live releases on January 20th, so I think that's when the PTR will probably get more content. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think there's very much content right now. And unless there's like hidden stuff for farming the events, besides the currency for the vendor, I don't think that there's really anything to look at. Or there's not much to do after you've gotten the vendor items. Two mounts, 3 battle pets, 3 pieces of housing decor, and Twilight Blade themed weapons. Extent exclusive rare spawning and mini rituals every 10 minutes. What do the rares drop though? Twilight Cultist set from Silithus removed from the game in Cataclysm. Okay. It did look familiar. 2 minutes to midnight, feat of strength, which gives a mount for doing all the rares. Definitely not a cultist title. And Twilight Blades Towered. Okay, yeah, I guess I'll farm out the rares for the title and mount. But this is all there is to show right now. I'm not going to farm for the mountain stuff on PTR. So far, pretty pleased with the monk changes. There are more improvements I think that can be made, and also, where's my XP bar? I think you're just level locked at 80. So you get the new talents, but you can't get more talent points to explore them more. Yeah, some positive changes. I really like Morning Breeze. I've never actually liked Jade Empowerment, which would be controversial among monks, I think, or Mistweavers. I did in season 1 I played Dance of Chi-Chi exclusively, And then in season 2, because Jade Empowerment was just so strong, I played it, and then I played it through 3. And then also, I think in 2 and 3, it shared a node with Dance for some reason, which I thought was strange. Or maybe late season 1, they merged them into a single node. So it was just better to play Jade Empowerment. But I've always liked Dance more. So not having to play that is great. Morning Breeze. I wish this, if Morning Breeze was in season 1, that would have been amazing because I got really bad luck with the weekly vaults, and so what I ended up playing was a very high mastery build. And Morning Breeze, Rising Sun Kick's damage is increased by your mastery rating, and Thunder Focus T resets its cooldown. So I was doing like 3 Rising Sun Kicks, which is something I used to play like Tea of Plenty or Tea of Serenity for. Along with Focus Thunder, I would play both just to press Rising Sun Kick like 5 times. So I really like this. And its scaling with mastery is great because now I feel like I'm encouraged to take more mastery if I play this. You know, a question that I would have is like, can we get enough haste from just the bonuses in our kit and from gear for me to like just start going like verse mastery or crit mastery just to max this. And then also like rushing wind kick replaces rising sun kick, so I assume it applies to that. So I think that rushing wind kick in like raid or battlegrounds will be very cool. In fact, I kind of want to take a look at it right here. Hopefully you don't need a target, but I can fly over to dummies. Actually, that's got more range than I thought it would. And if you can reset the cooldown on that by doing your rotation and like, boom. So you could do it like 3 times. That could actually be a lot of fun. Of course, the stamina increase from Jadefire Teachings is probably going to be better for survivability and keys. I'm not entirely sure. I wouldn't be opposed to building a glass cannon sort of build if Mistweaver can do a significant amount of damage. But based on what I've read, even with a lot of damage talents, our damage is not all that great. Yeah, I kind of like this. I would like to get Jade Sanctuary, but unless I could give up this, which you can't, it's kind of hard to rationalize how I would get to that. I would like Yu'lon's avatar to be changed from a chance to trigger back to being something that's guaranteed to happen. Like there was opportunity for skill expression the way it used to be. Now it's just RNG. At least Heart of the Serpent still works, except for that they increase the cooldown of Thunder Focus T, so it's almost like this cancels out the benefit that it used to have. So now it's like you can bring Thunder Focus T into like the cooldown range it used to be by activating it, which I think is kind of lame. And then what is it, like 100% bonus after using Conduit? Let's find it. It's like Heart of the Jade Serpent, Thunder Focus T. No, that's not it. I think it's this one. Celestial Conduit can be recast once during its duration to call upon all the August Celestials to assist you. No, that's not it. Does Conduit not do CDR now? It does. Heart of the Jade Serpent, 150%. It's just not on the tooltip. Oh, because it's a celestial, so it's like included in the Unity Within thing. Okay. Yep. Still want Mistweaver's Interrupt to come back. It's just so unfun to play Mistweaver without an interrupt, and I think that in keys especially, it's gonna be super punishing. Like, it's gonna be unreasonably punishing to be like the 0 ranged healer in the game, and then if you watched me earlier where I was just fighting stuff, like 5 casters and they were just casting on me, and there's nothing I can do except for press Tiger's Palm and Rising Sun Kick over and over, that's really boring, and I don't think it makes sense for a monk to be punching and kicking the shit out of something and not be able to stop its interrupt. Like thematically, from a coolness perspective, I think that's terrible, and gameplay wise, it's very unfun. I actually think Mistweaver having a kick can be well balanced. I mean, Shaman got to keep theirs, but you know, Mistweaver not being able to interrupt stuff is gonna be extraordinarily punishing because you don't have a damage immunity. Our stun is like the longest of all the healers in the game, I believe, once they take supporting talents. Like Holy Priest gets to do their healing rotation and it cools down their stun, and then Shaman has like 2 talents that reduce cooldown on totems and one that reduces the cooldown on their AoE stun totem. So it gets it down to like 35 or 30-second CD. Mistweaver with 2 talent points can bring leg sweep down to a 50-second CD or a 45 or something. So it's significantly worse than other healers with a stun. And I wouldn't doubt it if Holy Paladin's Judgment is still a 30-second or 45-second CD with a supporting talent that brings it down to 30. So it's really underwhelming in that regard. And then if Mistweaver isn't in melee healing, or specifically if Fistweaver isn't in melee healing, then they get very punished. Like people, every second you're not in melee or you're not doing your rotation is just like time until the party dies. And so you can't go, or you can, but not for long. But I'll simplify this. You can't really just leave combat to LOS like as conveniently as you want unless the tank pulls around it. So like you're just camping a corner, and then it's like if there's any casters in a pack or if there's a lot of casters in a pool, you're just doing that over and over, which is something that might happen anyways, that people can do bigger pools of casters. But what I'm thinking though is like tank would be standing here with a pack, and the party would just be LOS scumming behind the wall as casts are about to go off. You saw this a lot in high keys and Stone Vault because it was impossible to stop all of them, and some of them were just straight up one shots at a high enough key level. So people were just doing this over and over. So unless a tank pulled around Mistweaver to be able to do that, so that the ads are right here, punch, punch, hide, it's just gonna be really punishing, and for no reason. I don't think it makes the game more or less, or I don't think it makes the game more balanced overall to deprive Mistweaver being able to stop something that's casting at them. And sure, you can stun it, but then it goes right back to doing it 4 or 5 seconds later. Kind of like there in the Twilight Highlands. I know my stream cut out or it bugged out, but if you did see me fighting a pack of like 5 casters, I would stun them, and then maybe 100 more casts would go off before leg sweep was back up to stun them again. It's just kind of not fun to sit there and punch and kick a caster and not be able to do anything about it. You're just pressing 3 buttons over and over until a cooldown comes off. Being able to interrupt them. I was even pressing interrupt sometimes. They would start casting and I would press F even though it doesn't do anything now. So I hope that Blizzard will give us back our kick. I complain about it every chance I get on the forums. You know, I've also seen people talk about Mistweaver already has almost no utility among healers. So they're very low value unless they're overtuned. And so removing kick just makes that problem significantly worse. And then also, again, the stun being the worst in terms of cooldown rate of all the healers that have a stun also makes that worse. Like, I don't know why they couldn't be similar, or it should at least be the same as the Shaman's AoE stun, like for cooldown reduction and talent points. Huge disappointment to me. It also makes open world combat a little bit less fun. Dance of Chi-Chi though, huge. I love that. Love that it's back. I love that this talent lets me press Rising Sun Kick a whole bunch. New Shayloons is fine. I hope that with talent points I'm able to get Emperor's Favor to make it more like Vivify than an AoE heal. It kind of depends on what group-wide damage looks like in Midnight Dungeons. In Raid, I would almost certainly take Emperor's Favor because I don't feel like Shayloons is very effective. In Raid over like 10-man groups, it just hits random players and hopefully it healed the ones you wanted. I do miss Expel Harm, not having that shield on Thunder Focus Tea. It's a little bit but also at the same time, I felt like I was out healing damage pretty well. Even when there was a lot of damage, like I was yo-yoing my health bar like a DK. Trying to think what else. Oh yeah, Save Them All change. So before this was like really bad, where it was like good in the sense that there was nothing else that gave you more effective healing than this talent. But the way it worked was when you healed someone below like 35% HP, you got 10% more healing for 4 seconds, which is enough time to maybe press one button, maybe two. So now how it works is your healing is increased up to 10% based on the current health of your target. Lower health targets are healed for more. So now you just always get increased healing against targets with lower health. What I think might be very valuable in this is that because absorbs are considered healing in this game, so like Cocoon is considered healing, the absorb is it's like temporary HP is considered healing or something like that. Because of how that works, I wonder if slapping Cocoon on a low health target makes it like up to 10% stronger. So like Cocoon would have 10% more HP, making it 90% stronger in combination with Life Cocoon's 80%. Or how that even maths out if it works. So if it means a stronger shields and stuff, that's cool. I like that. I also like that it's not a random buff that you can't. It's so short acting that you can't factor it into anything. It's not just passive increased healing. I also like this chi warding. You heal for 3% of all magical damage you take. Pretty cool. So you're just basically not taking 3% of magic damage, unless it would overkill you. So I like that. You can still take Yulon's Grace, which I've opted to do rather than diffuse magic. Yulon's Grace is you just get every 3 seconds you get a shield equal to 1% of your max health, stacking up to 10%. I like to take this on tank pretty often. Depends on the dungeon and like damage type. But I opted for that. Diffuse Magic was removed from the game as a defensive, and now it just makes Fortifying Brew dispel the magic on you like it used to. Well, it says return them to original caster, but especially in Mythic Plus, that shit never works. It never returns anything to anyone. It's super rare if it ever does. If Diffuse Magic also worked on curses, I would be more inclined to take this, but it doesn't, so I just don't see the point because Mistweaver can diffuse or can dispel magic on themselves. I'm also a dwarf, so got that. There is a new Jade Serpent statue. It's just a passive that when you drink Thunder Focus Tea, it spawns and heals. I do want to take this, but I don't want to give up anything to take it. Um, I want Martial Instincts. I want Chi Proficiency. I feel like I can give up Touch of Death. This doesn't give a damage amp anymore, so it's just quality of life to be able to do it more. In the past, in like Dark Flame Cleft, what I was doing. Oh, that's strange. I feel like you used to be able to get to this from this node or from another node. But in like Dark Flame Cleft, I would take Transcendence Link Spirits. This is one of my favorite non-combat, non-healing, anything like that sort of talents. It just lets you mark an ally and then you can teleport to that ally. This is in Dark Flame Cleft, I used it to skip and to also like just completely ignore some mechanics checks. It was really cool. You could also use it at the end of the cart run. You might have seen like warriors and other people jump out of the cart stun leading into the last boss room. You could get out of that with Link Spirits by teleporting to your ally that's marked. So it had a lot of uses. It also let you teleport up to the platform where Candle King was if once one of your allies got up there. And Demon Hunter was meta, so you played with one of them quite a bit, so they got up there pretty often. So I don't know. If there's a way for me to do it, I'd probably drop Fatal Touch and grab that or grab that. Um, don't think I'm going to drop any damage reductions. They changed Dance of the Wind a little bit. I think now it can get up to 100% DR against physical damage. You also always have a permanent 10% baseline damage reduction, and then it stacks up an additional 10% every 4 seconds until you take an attack. So you're always taking 10% less physical damage, and then you get that same buff that you got before, but whereas before it stacked up to like 90% or 99%, now it just stacks up to 100%. So every I want to say 40 seconds, maybe 36 seconds. You just don't take damage from Fizz, which is cool. I like that. I'm glad they didn't get rid of this. I thought they would. 'Cause it seemed like they got rid of bounce back, which was that was the node that used to get over here, which was one of the things that helped Mistweaver to be super tanky. Was just all their passive tankiness, and they still have quite a bit of it, but it's definitely a lot different with because bounce back was like a 40% damage reduction. So, yeah. Some of these talents like Silent Sanctuary, outside of like arenas, I can't see any reason to play that. Um, I'm a Mistweaver, I'll just heal myself. Reinvigoration is cool, but outside of PvP, I'm not sure. Maybe in Raid. There could be Raid mechanics where that's really good. Silken Court might have been interesting with that. It would be really cool if this worked with Revival. I don't know if they interact, but if they do, then the whole party getting 30% movement speed might be big. Still think that they could combine like Celerity and Bounding Agility, or probably some other talents they could consolidate. Roll, remove, snare once every 30 seconds. Just put that into quick footed, probably. Just combine it. Um, yeah, I don't have too many more thoughts on that. Over here, I already said what I thought about that. Stronger Ox statue is pretty cool. This doesn't, I don't think this scales with max HP anymore. It could be spell power, but it is 400% more effective on your primary target. So maybe that'll make it better, but from what I saw in Twilight Highlands, it seemed to be lacking in what I was expecting it to do. I was expecting like a very big shield, or at least like, I don't know, 15% of someone's HP. So I don't know, maybe I dropped that to pick up Jade Sanctuary or even Inner Compass. Yeah, I think that's all of my thoughts right now. PvP talents, I know we lost some. I think we retained all the good ones. Except for Disarm, apparently. I'm gonna really miss it. It's like, I don't, Mighty Ox Kick is troll. Just, Blizzard swap that for Disarm. Disarm is really good. And I feel like we've had Disarm since PvP talents were a thing. Windwalker probably still has it, but I don't see any reason Mistweaver can't. It's part of class fantasy, and it's really useful for Mistweaver against some of the most problematic melee fights that they have to get into, like Rogue or DK. Um, I do wish we had a real immunity. I think that's what's holding Fistweaver back in PvP, is you just get shut down and kited. And Absolute Serenity makes you immune to crowd control for the duration of Celestial Conduit, but that's you're not really fist weaving if you're channeling Celestial Conduit, so it's not really conducive to that playstyle. It is still good sometimes. I've played it. I like it. And whenever I play against Mistweavers that are playing this talent, and I think Windwalker gets it too, but whenever I play against monks that have Conduit, I'm always trying to check if they have this talent by throwing a crowd control at them during it. Because if they don't, then you can just CC Conduit and put an end to it. If they do have it though, then you know not to waste your CC on it. Zen Spheres, this is just a buff you put on allies and or enemies, I think. Crackling Jade Lightning. This used to be an activated thing, but now it seems like you have to play Crackling Jade Lightning if you want it to work. Increasing healing done to the target. Target deals 3% less damage and takes 10% increased damage from all sources. So I think cast readers will probably like that. Does it stack like it used to? I don't think it does. Well, still, you're making a target do less damage and take more damage, so that's cool. Zen Focus Tea. Oh yeah, I like this. Thunder Focus Tea provides immunity to silence and interrupt for 5 seconds. If you use Thunder Focus Tea, you're probably about to do something. Well, specifically, you're about to Crackling Jade Lightning, so again, cast reavers will probably like that. Healing spheres. I don't really like these. I wish that they would replace these with something else. Just a chance to spawn healing spheres. They also dispel allies of magical effects, but in all I used to play this because I think it was recommended, but in all the time I ever played it, I don't think I ever saw a single ally actually walk into a healing sphere. They don't know what it is, and so they don't really care about it. Counteract magic. This is good. Probably what I'll play with, at least for now. But removing harmful hostile effects from a target increases the healing they receive from you up to by 10%, stacking up to 3 times. So every time you dispel someone, they receive more healing from you. This is also a classic one, Eminence. You can transcend while stunned. Really good on some maps. And then the other two that I'm playing here, I just would never play without, I think. Dematerialize is that when you get stunned, you take 30% reduced damage. Each second you remain stunned reduces this bonus by 10%. And then Peace Weaver is the cooldown of revivals reduced by 16% and provides immunity to magical damage and harmful effects for 2 seconds. So this also applies to Restoral. It kind of makes Restoral better so you don't feel like you're giving up that cleanse as much. It doesn't cleanse, but it does prevent application. And I've used it in some pretty cool ways before. The biggest thing, though, is definitely the cooldown reduction, which now that we have Uplifted Spirits being a guaranteed cooldown reduction, so I think it's going to be great. 16%. What is so? Now the cooldown is 2.5. What's 16% of 2.5 minutes? 24 seconds. So it's almost a 2-minute cooldown with Peace Weaver and Uplifted Spirits. That's pretty big. Do you still get Refreshing Jadewind? No. Okay. So we lost Flight of the Red Crane and Refreshing Jadewind on activation. But I think that's a good thing because I used to write very long forum posts about how it needed to be reworked or changed to actually do something or to be competitive with Master of Harmony back when it's a long story, but back when the hero talents were new. So I'm glad they just got rid of it and replaced it with just straight up damage or healing. All right, I think that's it for today. At least for this. There's nothing else to do besides the weekly or the daily that I did, and I'm not going to farm out the stuff for the mount on PTR. I'll do that on live. Nothing else to really talk about.